When building a student's knowledge around measurement concepts, there's the basics as covering area and perimeter, there's mass, volume, angles, money, time. There's so much we can cover in terms of measurement concepts, and it's a really fun, it can be a really fun topics to cover with students. And so I know something I struggled with as a child was reading clocks, and so I think this activity is really fun, and it can be ongoing throughout the day, and it would be played after you've introduced how to read an analog and a digital clock to students. But now it's kind of, students need to start developing the idea that time, not only how to read the clocks, but time holds importance, and they spend lengths of time doing things. So this is a fun little game, and it's just like when the bell goes off, students, especially at a young age, they don't get that, bell going off between classes. So it's a lot of fun to do this type of game. So students would, throughout the day, go throughout their lessons, and they would be provided a worksheet that would have blank digital clocks on it. And so the digital clocks, as you see, will be blank, and they have this little line over here to reference AM or PM, because we definitely want the students to highlight those, because it does make a huge difference if we're trying to calculate time intervals and we're looking at going from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. It makes a big difference. And so when doing this game, we'd go throughout our day, and whenever we would not listen, but whenever we would hear this noise, we would look up to our analog clock and record the time we see here on our digital clocks. So, right now the time for this clock says 2:20 p.m. Our actual analog clock's up there. I couldn't take it down for you, but it's 2:20 p.m. And so having students write that down, and then going throughout the day, and then having the buzzer go off again, and then having them record down a following time, and then another time, and then coming back together at the end of the day to look at the different times we recorded. And we can even further the activity by looking at the time interval, so the length it took to go between the first buzzer and the second buzzer, or the length it took from our first buzzer to our last buzzer, we can even calculate. And this is actually really important, and a way this activity can be altered even is to set the buzzer off at the end of each of the lessons or activities you're teaching. So kind of time it so it goes up towards the end of the lesson. So that way, when you're looking at the times recorded at the end of the day, you can review with students and be like, well, we remember this buzzer went off before reading, and then it went off again when we ended reading, or when we started math it went off, and when we ended math it went off again. So then students can look at the time it took that they spent in math class, or the time they spent reading, and then they start to relate time to an actual physical concept and start to grasp that time means something and holds importance.